This is Midtown Radio. I'm Danielle DeVoe, and I am talking to Stephanie Rozek from the Marit Collective and the Cozery. And you have a great event coming up in celebration of International Women's Day. So could you tell us about it?
Absolutely. So this is the 5th year that we've run an International Women's Day event, and I'm putting it on with my co-founder of the Cozery, CJ Perez. And we're also being helped this year by Susan Watt and Christopher Dutchman. They're our co-organizers this year. And as it's our 5th year, this time we are expanding into a full day conference. So essentially from 10 a.m. to 5:30 p.m., we will be presenting talks and workshops and discussions all about things that are impacting women and women-identified individuals in our region and beyond, focusing on gender equity issues and intersectionality. So things beyond just women, but we're looking at things like how do you be a better ally to the LGBTQ community, or I just want to do a cute shout out to in honor of working moms everywhere. We've got your daughter Emily here, don't we?
Yeah,
as a guest.
2-year-old.
So if anyone hears that in the background, she's watching Peppa Pig. It's all good. So yeah, we're trying to bring a real broad cross section of speakers to our audience. So we've got things like gender-based challenges in the workforce, and how do we make a more equitable workforce, and how do we change our hiring practices, reproductive justice, restorative justice in cases of sexual offense, queer allyship, as I mentioned, respectful parenting and how we can be better parents, and the state of arts and culture in Waterloo region. Those are just some of the talks we've got lined up in workshops. And it is open to the general public. We're trying to make it very accessible and accommodating to everyone in a number of ways. So the content we present in general at any of our events, as you know, we run a lot of workshops and things through the Cozery, and we're really trying to open up discussions and conversations across perspectives for people to get more nuanced understanding of complex issues. And we're doing the same thing here. So you don't need to go into an academic space or an activist space to learn about some of these issues, which often that's the only place you can go to learn about these issues, right? So we're doing that, and we're working very hard to make it accessible to everyone. So we've got a variety of price points, and if somebody can't afford the ticket, we're not going to turn anyone away from that. We really want this to be open to everyone, and we're really looking forward to it. We've got some phenomenal speakers this year. Laurie Campbell, who's the director of the Waterloo Indigenous Student Center, is our keynote, and her talk is speaking to our ancestors, you know, the concept of 7 generations. I don't know if that's something you've ever come across. Mm-hmm. So basically her way of looking at it is 7 generations ago, our ancestors were dreaming of us. Are we dreaming of our descendants 7 generations from now, and how are we treating the planet and leaving things for them? So I think given the current climate, in more ways than one, pun intended, this will be very timely. And Laurie's a phenomenal person and speaker, so I'm really looking forward to her as well.
I really love the public nature of this event, and this is something that I've often thought about. I see this at the university being a very junior person who's in a track that really has no potential to ever become a senior position. And so, you know, you'll see these ads to say, you know, helping women apply to be full professor. Well, you know, there's sort of this thing that, you know, the few women who have made it into sort of high positions then are being given ways to move into further executive positions or higher positions. But there's not as much of a consideration about how you fix the problem at the bottom, you know, where women of childbearing age can't, because they're having children, can't then get into that pipeline. Yeah. Or, you know, you hear tech CEOs acknowledge that they haven't been good about diversity, but then, you know, what is the at the bottom on the ground sort of change or shift that happens to allow people to get into that pipeline?
I was literally having this conversation with somebody today, and it's not just about the pipeline too, it's about fixing what is at the end of that pipeline. Are you making your culture inclusive and respectful so that people want to stay in your organization or whatever, you know? And we're also teaching women, you need to lean in, you need to show up at the table, you need to take your seat. But really that's just reinforcing that women need to basically learn how to live within this patriarchal culture, right? Rather than looking at their strengths and the things that they could bring to, say, the workforce or anything like that and make it better. So I think maybe let's not lean in, but let's change the system so that you don't have to work so hard to lean into a system that wasn't built for you in the first place.
Yeah, I remember during my PhD, I was wearing heels, and the floors in the department, the director said, "Oh, you're being so loud," because the floors were super echoey if you're wearing heels. And it's like, well, it's not my fault that these floors weren't built for women's shoes. Yeah, because it was really disruptive to even wear shoes in the spaces, which I always thought was hilarious. So now I find it less hilarious because...
Well, you know why, right? Yeah. I still remember years ago, I was giving a talk to a group of, I think they were third year engineering students at UW. And, what I would have said to myself at that age when I studied engineering, things like that was kind of the focus of my talk. And I had some of them come up and have questions afterwards. And one of them was... let's say 20, something like that, very well dressed, polished. And she was saying to me, I really like fashion and I like looking attractive and I like styling my outfits and things like this. So what's your advice to me? Like, do I do that or do I, act like one of the guys? And I sort of said, be who you are. You don't want to change who you are and shrink yourself to fit into whatever particular square peg hole they have for you, find ways to work around that. Like you do have to some extent in your own life to succeed, whatever that means for you in your own life, work within these systems. You've got to make those choices, but at the same time, be aware that you're living in these systems and try to change how you look at them and then maybe how others look at them that you're working with. Yeah.
So your conference is March 7th at
March
CG.
7th at CG. So the Center for International Governance Innovation. It's in Uptown Waterloo on Erb Street near Caroline. So close to the Shoppers Drug Mart, or the Value Mart, which has a Shoppers near it. And the Clay and Glass Gallery is across the way in Perimeter Institute. So sort of the heart of Uptown Waterloo. Yeah.
And if people want more information or to figure out how to register, where do they go?
So on our website, they can go to marit.ca, marit.ca/IWD. And not only do we have the conference with all the talks, we also are running an all-day feminist market. So we'll have about 25 local vendors, so local women-owned businesses with all sorts of creative and interesting things for sale or to look at. And that will be from 9:30 in the morning until 4:30 in the afternoon and free open to the public. So we are inviting people to come out for that too, which is really, it's a great way to innovate their space. Their space is this gorgeous, floor to ceiling, and the ceilings are high glass atrium, and it's full of these market vendors, and it was just really beautiful last year, and we're looking forward to it again this year.
Great. Thanks so much for coming in and chatting with us.